Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 22nd community call. And today is the special one because Akshat will be, Akshat helped us to organize um, the workshop that will be dedicated to prompt engineering. And since this is a really hot topic that almost everyone who's working with AI is interested in right now, that's why we are super glad to organize this workshop together with Akshat. So yeah, please bear in mind that the call will be recorded. People are already asking us about the recordings. So yeah, please meet our today's host, Akshat. He's a senior product manager at Adecco Group. He's also a co-founder at Pinnacle, and you can check the link. He's a content creator that creates a super cool YouTube videos, tutorials, and a lot of valuable posts on social media. So yeah, from now on, Akshat, please take the stage. I'll stop sharing my screen. And yeah, you can take it from here.
Awesome. Perfect. Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Let me just do one thing. So I'll just share that one window. Perfect. Visible?
Yep, we can.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so first of all, thanks for such a cool introduction. So I was a co-founder like pretty long back. I went on to my next venture and I'll probably cover that. But I'm super excited to do this because yes, this is a super hot topic. And also it's very vast, right? So covering it in 1 hour is a challenge for me. So I do this as an 8-hour workshop over 2 days for executives, right? So in 1 hour, I'm going to pick up the best things that I hope all of you can leave with and practically start applying. Okay. So while Max has already given me a very good intro, I'll just simply say my literal job is I just solve problems for a living. Like that's literally my description in the company I work in, for the clients I work. Anyone who has anything, they come up to my desk and say, Akshat, can you help with this? And given the time and the energy that I have, I respond accordingly, right? I love creating content and it's all around AI because I just love AI a lot. And then on nights, I'm building my AI agency. I'll not talk about that now, probably at the end. And that's pretty much it. So let's get it. A quick check-in, and I would really love everyone to respond. If ChatGPT was a person, how do you describe it in one sentence, like 5 to 6 words? If ChatGPT was a person, how do you describe it? You can type it in comments. If anyone wants to say, can say, but
well-rounded.
Well-rounded, okay. Anyone else?
Good at most things, master of none.
Okay, awesome. Man, do you want to take a shot?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't, if it was a person, I would say, yeah, knows a lot about everything, but sometimes doesn't follow directions.
Yep. So I'll tell you honestly, here's what I think about ChatGPT. It's the dumbest employee that you can have. The only way you can use it is by telling it what it needs to do. It has all the knowledge of the world, but you need to tell it what you need to do, right? And that's what Matt and Juan and everyone, Alan, it's well-rounded, but it's super dumb in executing. It's super dumb. Imagine you have the most genius person sitting next to you, but if you tell him, take this mouse and throw it at a cat, it will literally do that. Instead, if you thought of like, probably getting a play mouse or something. So you have to be very careful in this. And then prompt engineering is just that. It's about giving instructions to an extremely genius plus dumb employee person at the same time, right? So very simply, I have 3 ground rules whenever I do any workshop. And I love those 3 dumplings created by your courtesy of Midjourney, right? So ask questions, participate, and imagine. Literally, just imagine whatever is possible because we are literally scratching the surface of AI right now. Think what can happen, what you wanted to happen, and we'll try to do that, right? And please ask questions, okay? If this is going to be a one-way workshop, you are going to get bored faster than me, okay? So ask questions and we'll try to answer them and go with that, okay? So that's pretty much it. Let's get in
no time. Before we jump
awesome.
in.
Okay, Alan, I think you are not on mute. Sorry to call you out.
Yeah, Alan, I guess that's your microphone.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what's going on with my sound
Right.
right now. Trying to figure it
Okay.
out. Sorry, guys. I'll put myself on mute or if somebody can.
Awesome. So we are going to take two things and brief intro to LLMs. Why? Because let's say even if you have zero idea what ChatGPT is or what LLM is, here is a very quick intro. Well, sadly, LLMs are not genius. They just predict the next word. Like literally, that's pretty much it. They just predict the next word that should come. So if I'm saying this is Apple, it will probably like, no, this is an apple or a apple based on whatever you're trying to predict, right? That's it. That's what they are. They are not amazing technology tools that we want to change, like, and it's going to change the world, right? In probably sometime it will, but the idea is right now, they just predict the next word. Why I want to establish that? Because you should understand. When you are talking to an AI, you're just talking to a machine which is predicting the next word that should come after, right? Now, second, one thing that I've written is attention is all you need. This is just a trivia fact. So Google wrote a paper in 2017. The group of researchers at Google. The name of the paper is Attention is All You Need. They have been trying to crack this for a very long time. But this one paper was the reason that ChatGPT and AI as we know it today exist, right? So again, a fun fact, if you want to go ahead, go deep dive on that later. Third, and finally, one more thing, you can technically build your own LLMs. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think it's only for the selected few. Well, it's not. You can, if you have enough time and money, and also money has become much cheaper now, given how we have progressed. So if you want to build, all you need is a lot of data to train it well and just go ahead with it. Okay. So again, LLMs are demystified. They're nothing crazy. They're not a sentient robot that's going to catch up to you tomorrow, maybe in 5 to 6 years. But right now, it's just fun, right? And the examples are, it's not only ChatGPT, it's Gemini and Claude. Again, why I mentioned that, a lot of people relate AI is ChatGPT or XYZ, right? There are a lot of tools. Again, we are a part of community, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people know it right now. But just an example that there are multiple other tools. And the reason is, you mostly are interacting with one tool and you don't check what the other tools can give you for multiple tasks. Okay. And we are going to deep dive into that, right? But here is some terminology that some of you may know, some of you may not, right? So one of them is context length, right? It simply means how much data any of these models can process at a single query, right? For example, if I have a whole book, which is 900 pages long, most of LLMs, which were early like 3.5, won't be able to process it in one shot, right? That means if you just input that, you can't process the whole thing in one shot. And that becomes a problem because when you are trying to ask questions about a book, about a whole huge deck, it becomes a problem. So context length is the amount of data it can process in a single query at a single time, right? So we have formulas to change this, but again, you need to understand this to understand how prompt engineering and everything works. Again, this is like a very primary thing, right? Then two of cool things that we are going to test right away is temperature and top speed, right? Now, temperature, in the simplest format, the more risk you want AI to take, the more temperature you will set it to, right? And the more different probabilities you want, you will set the top P2, right? Again, and let me show you this as an example. Okay, so I'm just going to share another window and then you guys can see. Any questions till now? And I hope I'm not too fast. Everyone is good, like, because sometimes I am.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Let me share my window and let's see. Can you guys see the screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So, well, I was testing this out, right? And I'm going to test it out, but you can see there are two options here. This is Google AI Studio, right? Because I wanted to show you how these parameters work. So you have the temperature here, right? And we're going to change the value to this. Right now, it's all set at the basic normal version that it has, right? So again, if you would like to read the script, you guys can quickly go ahead. I'm just going to read the first 3 lines. So hey there, busy bees, feeling overwhelmed by the digital jungle? Don't worry, the AI Hive is here to help. So it has taken practically product Hive I wrote and it just taken it as a Hive, right? Again, very experimental, very changed. Buzz zips around, we are buzzing community of creators. innovators and curious minds, right? Again, a very decent script if you want to create an advertisement out of it, right? But let's say we go crazy, right? Let's go very crazy. Let's go 0.3 and let's change the top P to more varied response. Now, this has changed into completely different, right? The idea is like, it has become a bit more like, you will figure out, okay, your digital life with AI product Hive community, cut to a short. But the point is, we did not have these things before, right? It has taken a bit more liberty that when I'm talking about a script, I also will probably get a bit more data about the shot, how I would like to take, how the script will play out. Make sense? Yes, no.
Yep.
Yeah. Did any one of you have used either of these parameters before?
I haven't used top P, to be honest, but I've been using temperature a lot. So yeah, that's basically like, as I'd put it, that's more like be more strict or be more creative kind of thing.
Yeah, I've used a number of them before. Usually top K, they try to give it a little bit more variance.
Awesome. Perfect. Amazing. So again, the idea is like, when you use these, you get a different kind of response. And the point is you can use them to make your prompts better, to make them varied, and to utilize them for a lot of use cases. So for example, for idea generation, obviously, like, keep playing with this value as much as you want, because you can brainstorm a lot more, right? And again, all of you pretty much got tokens and context land. So, but if you can see, this is like 20 tokens for like around one sentence worth of it. Okay, awesome. Coming back to my prompt engineering slides. Yeah. Awesome. This. And then now, this is where I tell why you should care about every LLM that is out there, right? And I'll tell you exactly why. Specifically because a lot of these LLMs are very different from each other. For example, I love Claude when I'm writing a long piece of text. Like, there is nothing better than writing text on Claude, right? Gemini for coding has helped me a lot. Like, programming with Gemini is on literally another level. I was building a whole product with it, right? And again, this is a non-neutral comparison. I fetched out this from online, right? So the idea is, don't restrict yourself or your prompts to just one tool. Again, whenever we are doing this, you will probably like to open minimum 2 screens, open a Claude, open a ChatGPT, and test both of those models, right? When you are working with your prompts. And that's like just a tip, but also why we should pay attention to all of them, how they're working on, right? Because if I would have never tried Gemini, my programming would still be happening on GPT-4. For me personally, it works, right? That's why I say it's a non-neutral comparison. For you as a person, it's very different. On maybe you like GPT-4 better, you may like other better, but the goal is, please go ahead and test them. If you don't test these models with every prompt that you're doing, it takes maybe a couple of minutes more, but that's only how you can understand which provides the best answer for you. Okay. Now, coming to 3 frameworks, we're going to talk about 3 different frameworks here, right? And the first one of them is probably one which all of you must have used. Is called persona-based prompting, right? And I have a simple twist to this on how I work with it, right? So again, this is a real life example, right? This is from a company which has Blend, right? That's why the Blend prompt. This is a real life example of a company who uses AI to create faceless content creation scripts and images and stuff, okay? So I'll just break this prompt down on what we are starting, right? So the first couple of lines, we are giving it an idea that you are a content creation expert in faceless content creation. You have over 5 years of experience, right? Now, why 5 years of experience? And that is very specific. That is deliberate. Faceless content did not go mainstream more than 5-7 years ago, okay? Like, faceless content creation is only possible through YouTube and everywhere else, right? And that's why we give it more options. You have worked with YouTubers like Kotsik Arts in a nutshell and CGP Grey. These are 2 of the most popular YouTube channels on content creation, on faceless content creation. Again, being deliberate with what you are inputting is very important, right? Then you give it what you want it to do, right? So what are you doing with it? I'm currently working on a concept. And again, this concept can be anything that you want, right? The idea is that you are being really, really clear on what you want it to do. right? You're being, okay, I'm working for a concept for a brand Earth, which need to embody the following concept, how climate change will affect the Earth, right? Again, this is an example because when you are working with prompts, you should always try to figure out more. Now, the second thing that I like to do mostly, and again, an extension of persona-based prompting, I like to treat this as a software. I'm an engineer by everything that I do technically. So more or less, I try to treat this as a software. And this is why, because you can come back to the prompt and you don't need to figure it out every time. So very simply, you can say, I have two commands that I'm going to give you. It's called creating detailed scripts, creating image prompts, and I describe what the commands are, right? In addition to that, I'll always say, we'll keep adding more commands if needed, right? Because it does a very cool thing. It also will go ahead and create its own commands if we ask it to. Right? Anyone who has had a chance or who has used persona-based prompting properly in a huge prompt or something, again, and I'll just tell that open ChatGPT to test this prompt out. Any one of you have used persona-based prompting as a framework? I'm pretty sure you would have used it as an example.
I have used it in several cases with ChatGPT, actually, for marketing, product management. Depends on the for buying a new Mac as well. For traveling, yeah, quite a bit.
What did you guys face with? Like anything that like you would like to say that there is a problem with this, and why do you like persona-based prompting then? And any other frameworks that you have tried? Anyone? No?
I feel like the most interesting thing is like feeding it feedback, right? To have it talk to you more, so like an expert on the topic you're looking for. But and I can't say I have found yet huge differences regarding trying it with the regular option, right?
Okay, awesome, perfect. Let me share my screen back again and we're going to test this, right? So can you see this? Yes, I hope so. Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll simply ask, okay, you know what? Create a detailed script. Again, this is where the shorthand comes in, and create a detailed script on an advertisement for Earth from a perspective of a world, or like, let's go with the idea of Eminem. Let's see. I don't know if you know Eminem or not. He is a very famous singer. I hope everyone knows him. But again, again, the world is very big, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So the idea is the best reason I use persona-based prompts, right, is very specifically, you can do this stuff. You can do this stuff over and over. It always knows what you're working on, right? And I can't rap, but if anyone can, please take a shot, right? So again, this works super good, right? Like, very simply, it has an opening shot. It knows what we are talking about, right? And then, you know what? If we have time at the end, I would like to convert this into music and we'll see how it plays out, right? So you have, again, it's very good. I can't rap, but this is Earth screaming through the storm, friction causing action, and whatever that is. The idea with persona prompts is, let's say I don't want to do Eminem, right? I can just simply say, create another one in the style of any singers, any favorite singers, or a crazy cartoon characters or anything. Anyone?
Willie Nelson. There you go.
Willie Nelson, is that correct? Is the spelling correct?
Willie.
Okay.
There you go.
Nelson is correct?
You got it right.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's see. Only surprise, I don't know who Willie Nelson is. So anyone if wants to update me.
Let's see here. Yep.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
got it
awesome.
right.
So
Mhm.
kind of like, is it like country music, if I'm
It's
not
like
wrong?
it's country. He's been around for a long time. The redheaded stranger. Yeah, he's a staple of Texas.
Awesome. Like, again, this is super cool, right? Like, again, like the point is, because of your persona prompt, you can use it so many times. You can use it all the time. And I always tell, whenever you are starting your prompt library, if you have a personal prompt library, use this, right? For example, like Willie Nelson, and we'll make him sing in like this, right? At the end of this, and we'll go back to this and see how it actually works into a music format. Okay. So yes, that's how persona prompting works, right? And you can ask it, the best thing that I like, create 3 more commands that I can use with. right? And it will automatically give you ideas which you can work on it yourself, right? Because it knows that you're working with a brand. It knows that you are working on something that can be around brand marketing, strategy, and everything. Like this wasn't even in my thought process, like developing educational webinars. If I'm working with a brand about Earth, I did not think so, right? Maybe someone else would have, creating engaging infographics and other stuff. Now, the point is, because it has itself created these commands, you can technically ask it to do the whole thing, right? Create the infographics, create the whole documentary, create anything that it wants. Make sense? Any questions here? I hope someone has one.
Here, how would you go about building a prompt library?
So I can show you mine at the end, and like, because those are like huge prompts. One thing that I always say is, what are your everyday use cases, right? And the point is that's only when you're creating a prompt library. When you, for example, I have 3 of them, right? One of them is obviously brainstorming, right? So about understanding what kind of ideas I'm working with, right? So I always have like, a fixed, this is who I am, right? So Akshat Bharati creates content, whatever you, Max, and I told you. And then I will have, these are my last top 3 videos which worked on Instagram or on YouTube, right? And that's a context that I'll lay. So that's a fixed prompt, right? I always just, the thing that I have to change is the last 3 good videos, right? So whatever your use case is on a regular basis, don't spend time on writing prompts, right? I'll tell you honestly, I'll show you one prompt which took me probably 2 weeks to perfect, right? And this was, again, this was for a client. So we were working on it for a very long time, right? And it took 2 weeks to perfect. And it was probably around 24 hours of total effort over 2 weeks, right? And we'll probably just get into that. So the idea is, because if you're spending more than a day on building a prompt, save them with you and utilize them over and over. Most of the times, if you are coming back to the same problem, you need a prompt library. You need a single prompt. For example, one, if you're using for, I don't know, programming or content creation, have fixed prompt. Because the point is, what? Tune them, but you are not going to change your strategy for programming or content creation every week. You're probably going to change it every 30 days or 40 days, right? So it saves a lot of time, right? And it saves you time in like, that getting started thing. A lot of people, okay, I'll like, quick question. How many people do you think use ChatGPT every day? Like every day, like give me a rough number or a monthly basis.
Maybe 10 million, 20 million, less than 100, I guess, on a daily basis.
Anyone else?
I'd go with 50 million people.
Yeah. Anyone? Okay, awesome. So, well, one is on point. Very few people use ChatGPT or any AI. And that's beautiful, because you know what? All the content that I'm creating may not get popular today, will get popular in 5 years, because then everyone will want to learn, right? AI is still a fad. I don't know if you think so. We probably don't think so. We are part of these communities, but AI in the real world is a big fad, right? And so if you're using AI daily, the best thing is, how do you scale yourself? And one of them is prompt libraries, right? Awesome. This is tech prompting, right? But any questions till then? I hope I'm not rushing. I'm giving you enough time to digest, but still, just a quick question. Good?
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So, well, this is tech prompting, and this is just an example or like a small piece of the content that we do, right? And I will probably show you this on Notion so that you can read it more better, right? And I have all of that there. Just a second. Yep. Okay, that would be my screen. I need to share this. Perfect. So let's come to this. Now, this is what we created, and I'll show the example that says this was what we created for a trader in US. Okay. He has a 10,000 people group who are more or less beginners in trading, who did not want to do the analysis themselves, or honest answer, they were not able to do the analysis themselves, right? So very simply, they are beginners. They wanted to create a very simple trading analyst, which can do all the things in a single place, right? So very simply, as a trading analyst, you possess comprehensive knowledge, you have a lot of things. And then one thing that I had to describe very clearly is this conversation flow. In tech prompting, just think of your prompt as a software, okay? Now, again, if you haven't built softwares before, just simply think, how will someone talk to you if you had to explain these steps, right? So very simply, the first thing is obviously like, break whatever the user is saying into actionable steps, right? This is a fixed line that you can use in any prompt. Second, use the following features effectively to fulfill. Remember to split tasks into smaller window and process extensive data, right? Again, this works genuinely well. It's just 4 steps. But if you are giving prompts and you are creating prompts for yourself, even like as a prompt library, always describe a conversation flow. Like for me, whenever I'm starting a brainstorming session, I will just have this random thought. What if AI entered tomorrow all the milk shops of the world? How will we, because in India we drink milk every day, right? So a milkman comes to our home every day, right? So how will we use AI in delivery of milk, right? Because again, it's a huge problem. And the point is, because it is a conversation flow, it knows that I'm going to start with a random idea which has no head, no logic, nothing. We'll just start that. So it will start breaking it down, right? Now, below what you have is how I'm using it to create, and more or less, if you have used APIs, this would seem very normative. But very simply, you have to describe in detail how you want the API to function. Even if GPTs have that API thing, you have to still tell it how to utilize it. It just works extremely better. So the first feature, data collection, right? They create data. And second feature, which is the most important one, generate a chart. And if you come down below and see the steps that are listed here, fetching data from an API as requested, you might think that a GPT would be able to understand that, yes, once you fetch data, you work with it, but it does not. Verify data with user, load data in code interpreter, display data, plot candlestick chart, voila, and then store chart, present chart to the user, discuss annotations, right? All of these literally have to be told to GPT, right? And it still does not perform. You see this line? This line is my testing. Never use MPL Finance Python library. You won't imagine how many times I've written this to GPT and it has always went down and used it. And for some reason, it can't access that library, so it can't import it and it does not. But the idea is the more generous you are with writing the steps, the more detailed your steps are, the better it works, right? Let me come here and quickly show you an example. Here, this one, yes. So this is Talk GPT. I'll just zoom out a bit, and you have all my instructions here. I'm just going to start and say, fetch the data of the Apple stock price for last trading day. For last 5 trading days, let's do that because you'll have more data. Right, day format, right? It should technically work. Even if it does not, I'm pretty sure we can solve it. But the idea is it will now go ahead and ask an API. This is a free API, like kind of free to a certain extent, 12 data. So you guys can check it out. I have a whole YouTube video on this if you want to like it. So it has gone ahead and done this, right? Fetch the data. It's going to give me all the options, right? But the tricky part is, yes, please create the chart, right? And we would technically want it to create exactly the candlestick chart. It hasn't used MPL Finance, so that's a good step, because every time that you see this, you will always have this. And again, I always expand the output in case someone hasn't used code interpreter before, you can. So let's see what we come up with, okay? But anyone else who has used, I don't know, like tech-based prompting or built anything would like to share until it does what it does, and hopefully it does it well. Did the output image not come? See? This is what happens. Please redo this.
I have a question. This is a GPT that you or someone made. It's not like the plain GPT. So what did you configure it to do?
So it's the same prompt. It's the same exact prompt. The only thing it has is an API key, right? So I configured it to, like, get the data for the latest trading day and then build a candlestick chart using it. So that's what it does. And hopefully it shows an image. So I configured it to just do that. And again, okay, so it's probably not going to show us each candlestick image, or it's having an error. But yes, it should technically generate one, right? And maybe I still can't see image. give me a link to download it, and we'll try this last time, and then you guys can probably refer a whole YouTube video I have on this one, how to build this, right? So yes, in answer to your question, it technically just has to show us a candlestick chart with all the data that we have already given it. So it's fetching the data, it is creating an image, but it's not able to generate. Now, that is sad because I really wanted to show you that, but yes, it's supposed to generate a candlestick chart.
For me, that also happens from time to time. So I think that's an issue on the OpenAI side, honestly, with the image hosting and etc. Because from what I remember, like I've been able to actually generate the picture once per 10 times when I've attempted to. So that really depends, I think.
I really hope it generated. Perfect. Awesome. Voila. We generated the chart image. And then again, that's how you can use it. And yes, it sucks when it does not. I really hope it would. Else I would have really felt bad after the class. Awesome. So it generated the image, and this is how it works, right? So in your response, I think one more thing that we just learned, just ask it to download an image, right? I'm not sure. I did not get your name. Alan, right? So yeah, like again, if you like, want to go through that. So yeah, that's how it works. And then this is how you break down a prompt. Any questions on this? This is still a bit technical. I'm not sure if this was a bit too much, but I still wanted to show the things that you can do, right? So if someone is not from a tech background and is just exploring AI, if you have questions, please ask. If you have no questions, we have one more complete framework to deal with. So don't worry.
Why did you choose to generate the image on the place where you do the custom prompts instead of on the regular ChatGPT? I mean, what I mean is, I know you have the main screen, right, where you have the different conversations you have, but you did it inside the custom prompt, inside the custom GPT. Why did you choose to do that? Like, what's the difference between doing it there and inside the regular conversation you have with the custom prompt?
Perfect. One, love the question. You see this option actions, right? This has my API. So I can't call an API in the normal GPT, like in the normal chat. So this is configured, right? So whenever, let's say, like again, if you are fetching your whole database, right? And if you're fetching questions and details from there, using an API works very well, right? The only thing is, it's sometimes horrible to build this API. Even though OpenAI has said, like, they have actions, GPT and everything, what you do is you take the whole schema and give it to another GPT that's called actions GPT and create it using that, right? But I'll be honest, it takes a good amount of time to get this right, even if you're using AI and all the knowledge that you have, because it does. I really don't have an answer why it does that. So hopefully it went better. So that's why I use this, right? And then if you want to see, like, there are other examples, weather, blank template, pet store. So these are just examples. So if I just put this, right, again, and it will give you the current weather that it has right now, right? So again, you can change the APIs and do that. And this is like one of literally the most of the clients that I work with, right? They want these GPTs a lot because like one of them just made me search their whole database and now they don't have any content writers anymore. And like, it just creates that. It's sad. I don't want to mention it long time, but it is like, it's super helpful. So yeah. Again, and I did not have any input on like, what you should have. They just simply said, well, it works really well. I still thought it would require 20-30% human effort. Okay, now this is one of my favorites. It's called CoStar. Well, technically, because we are going to make GPT our CoStar, our next door buddy, right? And if you understand this prompt well, this is for all the professionals who are not working in tech, who are working in non-tech jobs and have somewhat requirements of building a lot of text-based data. So I'm talking about emails, PPTs, messages and responses to your boss or anything, okay? So this is for them. This is for everyone. If you just go ahead and copy paste this, don't even think about it. This will help you solve all your ChatGPT issues, okay? Awesome. Now, this is why I have taken example of a completely, maybe probably a bit technical job. I'm just reading digital marketing, right? But it's mostly non-tech, right? This is called CoStar for 5 things, very simply. Context, objective, style, tone, audience, and response, right? This prompt is the simplest one because you give it so much details that there are very low chances of it going wrong or giving you a very horrible response. Okay. Very simply, I'm pretty sure you guys would have read through this, but I'm simply saying the first thing is set up the context. Who are you, right? And I always say, use this prompt for making a persona of yourself or someone who you want to be. Maybe you want to be a CEO, so ask it to be the CEO again. I am a digital marketing professional where I consult with D2C brands to launch their business across multiple marketplaces. Your task is to help me. So the first thing is set up the context. Don't just tell it you are a digital marketing professional. If I was creating it, I would simply say, I am Akshat Baheti. I work as a project manager at so-and-so group. Here is what my company does. Here is what my job role is, and give it more details. Again, give it as much context as possible. Spend 8 hours on building this prompt. Again, it's an arbitrary number. You are probably much faster than I am. Spend 8 hours on building this prompt, and you don't need to create any other prompt from a perspective of your requirements. Okay. Second, set up a task, right? So let's say you create marketing campaigns every day, right? Or your whole job is about managing marketing campaigns. Your task is to help me in creating their marketing campaigns across multiple social media channels by analyzing the recent data and trends, which I'll provide you, and matching them with the brand's identity. You are specifically told that what you are going to give, what it needs to work. Because you know, the worst thing that ChatGPT does, it will assume a lot. Again, it's a genius sitting next to you, but if you don't tell it what to do, it will try to figure it out itself, or it will try to just do exactly what you do. So tell better. I'm pretty sure even if I go ahead and probably make this prompt much better, I can. The idea is it fits in one page right now, so I want to show it properly. So your writing style should be extremely creative in the ideas and the campaigns you plan to ensure, and we can create a distinctive brand image. That's the style. Now, for you, that could be, I want you to be extremely professional. I want you to be extremely rigid on the tone. Let's say you are a manager in corporate America, again, probably because I see a lot of corporate America reels, who really wants to not be nice to their employees. So just simply say, I am not a nice person, and reply accordingly. Again, just an example. So make sure that whichever style you want the answer in, give it that style. Whatever you want. You want it funny, you want it humorous, you want it Christopher Nolan style or Eminem style, go ahead and do that. Again, the idea is it's your playground, right? Finally, add the tone. With the style is like, you know, again, we always say style and tone are the same things. Now, tone is the response that you want. Style is kind of the hand gestures that I'm doing. This is my style. But the tone I'm delivering with this is the way I say. So if I'm in a serious tone, I'll be like, this guy's is very horrible, right? This is a serious tone. So the way you want the response to be, make sure to tell it that, right? Again, maintain a professional tone. So you still can be a bad boss in corporate America, but maintain a professional tone, right? You don't want to get called into HR. Work like an expert assistant with background in marketing and brand building, right? Again, the idea is you are given it more context. Like, you know, you are working as an assistant. You are not working as a digital marketing professional. You are not going to figure out things yourself. You are working as an assistant. What does an assistant do? Ask good questions and help get the task done. Again, these words matter. The words that you're using matter, right? Then, who is your audience? So, target audience is the brand chief marketing officers with more than 20 years of marketing experience and can see bullshit from a mile away. So, be real and authentic, right? Now, the point is, this is based on, like, you know, you wanted to give factual data. You wanted to give you responses which make sense. You wanted to give you the right amount of information. So that last line about the audience gives it, it's kind of like a guardrail. So for example, if I would have told it, your audience is the whole world, I would have got a horrible, shitty response, right? The idea is it's very targeted. You can also write, the target audience is my boss who works as a chief marketing officer for so-and-so brand. He has been working for 15 years in these industries, and he really likes to just see data about every campaign. He is a data guy, right? And that response, whichever you get, I guarantee you, probably after 2 more minutes with that response, you can send that to your boss, colleague, anyone. This is the power of it. And finally, each response has to be professional and have a detailed context and actionable steps for each task I ask you to do, right? Again, you have told it how you want the response to be. You want the responses also, the way it responds to you in the chat, to be in a specific tone. and a style and the format that you wanted, right? Again, this is probably one of the, probably a silver bullet for a lot of people who are not using AI for their jobs, but just using AI to become a better version, or just use AI for ChatGPT stuff and like writing emails and stuff. This is like a silver bullet for them, right? Again, so let's test this. And till then, if anyone has questions, I will love to take them. No questions. I can't be teaching that well, guys.
No, no, you're
I
doing
have,
great. We're just watching. Go ahead.
Sorry. I have a question going back to the difference between the plain, let's say we're adopting one by one the CoStar recommendation. What would be the difference between using a one-shot prompt with the CoStar guidelines versus having a GPT like you created before and then using, a prompt?
I'll explain you exactly how it works very simply. So the point is, GPT you can use for one more thing. Let's say you are using as a CoStar prompt. You have created your CoStar prompt and given that to the GPT. For example, and I'm taking a very simple example just to put the point across. Let's say you wanted to just write very good emails and create great presentations, right? If you download 10 to 20 of your emails and your presentations, I'll just share this. I'll share my screen and show you. So if you do that, right, and let me come back to here, right? If you do that, you have an option here to upload files, right? And you can upload a lot of files that you have. If you can upload your emails and your PowerPoint presentations, the GPT will always reference them when it is talking to you, right? So now it has just much more data, like really just much more data. And that's one use case, like, from a perspective of just using it for as a CoStar framework and with more data. Where I use it mostly, again, was for an API point. But yes, does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I pronounce your name right. Ofer?
Yeah, it's Ofer. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, Ofer. So does that make sense?
Not sure I fully understood that, but maybe that's
Now I'll explain it. No, let's get to this. So very simply, let's say we want to write emails, right? I'm going to do, what? I'm going to take a minute for everyone, okay? So everyone gets this. So the idea, let's say, I've taken the whole GPT prompt and put it here, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and probably give it a file that I hope is worth an email or something. Let me just do that. So, okay, awesome. Right, I've uploaded a file. Can you see that?
yeah.
Right? So this is a transcription of an audio file I sent to someone, right? And I'm going to ask it a question, right? And I'm going to ask it, reference your knowledge base and create a response based on the instructions. Oh my God. Okay, this is super sad. Does anyone have a GPT on their hand? So I have reached the cap for today's users. So I've been using it a lot since morning. But okay, I just to put the point across, this sucks so bad, right? Like just imagine like you're in the middle.
Yeah.
But okay, so like when you do this, right, it will technically go and reference all the document that I sent it and create a response, right? So you know what? Set up a meeting with me. I'll send you my link. Did it give me back responses? No, right? Okay.
But
So
you can do the same with one-shot prompt by uploading the whatever
yes,
file. Right.
right? But the point is you have to upload the files always. So let's say you wanted to write emails. You can upload hundreds of emails and it will always understand your style. So I'll be honest, GPT is just a way to probably create your own stuff so that you don't need to do it all the time. You are just working with the software. It's like creating your own mini software. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it will be another question related to that, but it will be cheaper. Like I'm sending less data.
No, so for like ChatGPT, I don't think they have separate pricing. It's built in, it's the same price. for using it as GPT. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like,
No,
No,
that's
what I
that's
mean
right.
is that
ChatGPT is a fixed subscription. You're thinking of
Okay.
GPT-4, the other model where you're using an API to connect in and you're using tokens at that point. I think that's going to be a different
yeah,
different pricing model than just subscribing to ChatGPT on a monthly basis.
yeah, I'm talking about the API. Whether it's 3.5 or 4, it's the same. It has a cost per input and output. So my question was whether you create this GPT
Mhm.
makes it cheaper because you don't need to always upload the entire, let's say, 5
No.
files that you need,
It
or
does not. It costs you still, I think, $25 a month. So $20 to $25
no,
is
so
still.
okay.
Yeah. So there's
The question,
if
it's
yeah,
an
but if you
API, not yeah.
yeah, but if you create something like an assistant, if you're talking about that, and if you create that for clients and all, then that's a separate conversation that we can have. But yeah, okay. So
And
over.
also to jump in there on that question, they've implemented recently on ChatGPT the memory, long-term memory,
Yeah.
right? So you can also provide information in a prompt and tell it that I want you to save this for later, right? Just like that. And now you can use it later on in other prompts and not have to go and remind it about that same information.
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Again, that's
Yep.
and Matt, like just when you said it, it has added this into its memory. Is a digital marketing
Yeah.
professional who does X, Y, Z, right? So I don't think we'll be able to use that one because I've hit my limit. So I'm just going to do one shot here and let's see how it goes. Right. So I think 3.5 is still okay. Like it feels okay. It feels so bad. Like, this was one of the things that opened our eyes, and now it's like, yeah, it's okay. Kind of, let's see. I hope. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So
There we are.
right now, oh my God. Let's just go back a bit. Yep. Can you guys see this? Can you see the response it has given? And I want to show that to you how CoStar makes so much sense,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So very simply, it has literally asked me, give me the data that you have collected, right? Because in my prompt, I'm mentioning very simply here, you will write and campaigns that we work on. Where did that data part go? Analyze the recent data which you'll provide, right? It's going to exactly work with me on that format, right? It's an assistant. I've made sure that it is an assistant that is going to work with me. It's not going to go ahead and do it itself. That's why CoStar works most of the time, right? So again, if I have some data, I can give it, I can simply say my last video titled AIP X prompt engineering got 500 views in YouTube with AVD of 100 hours, right? And let me just enter that. I still think it's generating somewhere. I think ChatGPT has given up on me today, but it works. Okay. So the point is now with this data, right? Brought key insights. Why? Because I am creating this for a chief digital marketing officer who does not care about anything, cares about the real value of it is I'm providing, right? Very structured response. I am pretty sure, and I've tested this prompt with a lot of people. You can use this prompt and convert it into, like, I can copy paste this and send it to if I was a digital marketing professional, right? So again, this just helps you save a huge amount of time, right? All the insights, all the things that I want to work on. Like imagine if you are running an agency of social media for influencers. They just send you a video with their details and you send them a custom email every morning without doing a thing. Yeah, but that's pretty much I had for today. If you have questions, please let me know. And anyone, any questions?
Yeah, Akshat, can you hear me?
Yes, Rana, right?
Yes. Yeah, Rana. So, yeah, in GPT, when we regenerate, so let's say GPT produces a response, then we ask him to regenerate. Like, how is it different from the one it is previously generated and now, like when we regenerate?
So you are talking about when I clicked regenerate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell you nothing. So that's an error. Like my internet or whatever, like did not send the response. If I go and scroll through it, it has created probably on number 4 or number 5 And that's an internal issue. It does not regenerate, it just simply did not execute the first task very well. But let's say if I come here, right, and for some reason I want to use the same prompt, I can come here and say, do it exactly as I say. And I do this and I click save and submit. Now it is going to start a new chat because I've changed the first prompt. So it's just working on a new instruction that I've given it, right? So if you see, because I just added this, much less talking, much more work, right? And yeah, if anyone has more details on this, like again, that's pretty much like, how, so very simply, you can see multiple responses generated here, right? And then I can switch between chats. This is something that is probably like a UI feature rather than an LLM feature or something. Matt,
Well,
do you have
and
any?
also mention that, look, the models, they're not always deterministic. So sometimes it may give you a response and you're looking at it, kind of tilting your head like a confused dog, trying to figure out where were you going with this. So you may just want to hit it again and have it like, hey, let me give you a free redo on that. Maybe you can help me out. And as he showed, you can also add in maybe some clarifying language to help guide it towards the right answer, or at least the kind of response you were looking for. And it's just faster than going and copying and pasting it out and doing it again. You can kind of give it a rerun, because people were doing that. That's actually how they're implementing the user experience in ChatGPT to kind of see what people do.
Yeah.
People were copying out their prompt and pasting it back in again. It's like, that didn't make any sense. Can you try it again? And so they put in those regenerative requests. But it's just really just handing it to the language model again and hoping you get a better response.
That's much more better answer. So awesome. Okay. If anyone else has questions, perfect. But I'll shamelessly ask you all to follow me, right? Hopefully you do. I hope I also provided it, probably can help. And if anyone wants to get on a call and probably spend time, more than happy to I do something called an 18-minute call. I don't know if that makes sense, but 18 minutes, because very simply half an hour and everything else is very, very, very too much. So 18 minutes, come to it. Let's solve your question, right? I'll just drop my links in the chat. If anyone wants to follow, do let me know. But yes, any other questions? I am more than happy to hang out for another 10, 15 minutes and talk more if you want to.
Yeah, to expand a bit on Offer's question. So we had a use case in our community. One of our community members asked that what's the better way to deal with his situation? So he runs an agency that builds software for companies that would like to use AI. And what he faced is the issue that he constantly needs to update the prompts that are hard-coded into the actual code base, because the end users, the clients, are coming up with different requirements for the prompts. And I've suggested that you can basically use a config file in your software so that it would be easier to use it, or you can fetch a text file that would contain the prompt via the API or something like that. But right now I'm thinking that probably that would be easier to buy a ChatGPT subscription and create those custom GPTs and hard code the prompt into that GPT and basically make an API call to the GPT. What do you think about that approach? Would that be more optimal, or what might be the pitfalls to handle that?
So Max, honestly, if the software or whatever he's creating does not add anything other than more text, if it's just a text interaction, building a GPT always works much better, right? That's right off the bat. If the software is not adding you 10x the value in the front end, or you need a very custom, GPT works much better, right? And that's what I've been doing for a lot of clients. Very simply, they have their workspace based. So if you are on a team subscription, you can just use the GPTs that your company has created specifically for you, and you can use them, right? So that works. But in case, let's say I don't know, he's offering a format of probably the software adds more. What I would do is, again, I will just simply say, ask an LLM. I'll probably create an assistant, right? And ask it to give you, okay, based on the input that the user has given, which prompt should I select, right? So make GPT ask itself, you give the description of the prompt, you describe it, and then it fetches that prompt and gives it that persona, right? Very simply, run an API call. First time, whenever someone is asking a question, run an API call to the LLM and to like whatever, Airtable, whichever database you want to use, and just select which intent works best, right? And based on that, it will fetch. And if it is not like more than 9 to 10, you can also fetch the whole data and just ask GPT to select one of these personas to proceed with. And again, probably if we like, do another class, I hope I probably like, taught well. I can show how that happens in voice flow or something very quickly. Like, you can just fetch and create multiple personas. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the answer.
Any other questions, guys?
What would you consider that are the best use cases for HAI you work with currently?
Yeah, so for me, again, and that's why non-neutral opinion, it works for me. Gemini, hands off, like best programming experience, because whenever I'm programming with it, every time I ask it for the code, first of all, because their context lengths are so big, it just gives me the whole code, right? Like 70 to 80% down. So what I've started doing is whenever I'm trying to build a pet project, like I simply ask it, here is what I want to build. I don't know programming, you start. And then I learn along the way, right? And that is beautiful because now it knows I know nothing. So it's not only going to give me the code, it's also going to explain me every part what the code does with comments. So my work is like done. I was building an AI recruiter as in a project with Streamlit. I took 3 days. With Gemini, it got done in 6 hours. We want to do a version 2. We just went to Gemini and like just started. It's literally a copy pasting job after that, right? So GitHub Copilot also works very well with that. But the point is, for me, I was experimenting and I had to create a YouTube video also out of it. So Gemini just worked really better, right? Claude for text, no LLM has come better to write in text than Claude. It's just beautiful, probably on the data that they have trained. And this is, I'm telling based on my and plus 3 clients in India that I'm working with who create marketing campaigns for a lot of companies. When I told them about Claude, they literally quit GPT. They were like, no, because GPT for some reason sometimes just probably the data that they have trained on is very different from an Indian context, right? Probably what will attract to the Indian audience, maybe that. It just works really well for text content across. And I've recommended that to everyone. Text content works super good. And if I'll tell you the best example, try to write a bedtime story, give it a good description. Again, bedtime story for adults, for kids, anyone that you want, right? Write a bedtime story and you see the difference in responses. The quality of Claude on a 0-shot prompt is much better than GPT on a 0-shot prompt. Like it just saves you a lot of effort. That's my, so for me, GPT is, but brainstorming, nobody can do it better than GPT. Like brainstorming and working on new ideas and stuff. So
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And if I could have one last question, please.
Please go ahead.
Regarding temperature, how do you go about using it on a day-to-day basis? For example, I mean, for most business uses, like I like to use it in a way that's more restrictive, in order to avoid hallucination. But how do you go about playing with it back and forth usually?
So if I'm using it with ChatGPT, right, I simply say set temperature on 0 to 10 on a scale of 10, right? And then it understands what temperature means, so it will go ahead, right? But when we are working on like consumer applications, we tend to not mess with it unless someone has really given us a like kingdom come, do whatever the hell you want, right? Most of the times we'll try to stick to because and again depends also. So for example, if you're working with a marketing agency, they want all crazy ideas, right? I'll give you an example, right? And I'll probably I'll send you that response plot. So whenever, if you're using temperature, put very strict guardrails, literally, right? Strict guardrails, don't deviate from this. And, things that are above. So yeah, again, LLMs can, probably put you in a very tough spot. So yeah.
Okay,
any other questions? Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the questions.
Please, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, so far.
Yeah, maybe follow up with what Max was asking before. You were kind of asking the LLM to suggest you or recommend you prompts. Is that what, did I get it right? Is that, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I asked it to give me more commands, right? So for example, I'll probably pull up my screen back again. I will show you one thing. So where is, just a second. Yeah, perfect. So I was using it in persona prompting, right? And very simply, if you see this, you can see 2 commands, right? 2 commands that I have created for it, right? Like CDS and CIP. You don't need to use those words or shorthands, just what I like to use. creating image prompts, creating detailed scripts and everything, right? So when you input that, it has gone out and created some commands. But I want to probably explore a bit more. I want to see what it can do for me. So let's see. Boost this, or let's see. Can I fetch that? Because I don't have any more GPT-4. Yeah, can you see this one?
No, we see the slide.
Oh, sorry, wait, sorry. So let me share the screen. Let's go back here. Awesome. Perfect. So you can see this. I just asked it to create 3 more commands that I can use with it, right? Now it knows when I'm talking about use with it, it knows that I'm referencing to these 2 commands that I created, right? And everything else that we have done after. What more it can do, right? So it's a very good way to make GPT work for you to explain what it can do for you. So for example, creating infographics and this, and you can do it for yourself for any prompt that you want, right? You can ask it to suggest. It's like kind of asking, suggest me ideas about what you can do, but in a more structured format. Because after this, if I had GPT-4, I can just simply say on climate change for kids 3 to 5 year olds, right? And it will not run because I know I have hit the limit, but if it runs, great. So it will simply go ahead and develop an educational webinar for, oh great, I got grades back. So very simply, it will go ahead and do this, right? And it will tell you exactly. The point is, I also did not think that I would be able to do this, but because I've asked GPT, it has just brainstormed it for me, created its own command and given me a response. So voila, saving a lot of time.
So it gives you more ideas about what you could do.
And you don't need to describe it what you need to do. So it itself created this, plus what it will do for you. So let's say if you give it an idea, develop an educational webinar for kids, right?
Yeah.
It will create something, but now it has gone and understood, okay, this is what I wanted and this is what I want to refer to, right? So it is doing the work of creating, like, it's kind of like self-writing itself, its own commands. Again, that may sound like AGI, but it's not. So
yeah, but it's mostly for idea generation as a one-time thing, not as a operational or repeatable process.
No, often it's 100% operational and repeatable, because you can ask it to generate as many commands as you want. Matt, do you want? I think you want to input something.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think the interesting part is that you're asking it to help you brainstorm what can be done. And you can use that. You could even ask it to brainstorm more. I think the interesting question is, is what it's brainstorming actually, is it good at what it brainstorms? Right? So for example, I could brainstorm a bunch of activities that I could do for somebody, as a business. But if one of them is painting, like, if that means painting a wall, that's one thing. If it means painting a picture, probably not. It's going to look terrible, right? So I could suggest that I could paint for you, but whether I'm good at it or not is a different thing. So what I think is interesting is it'd be really unique to find out if the commands that it suggests can be performed are actually ones it's good at, and would it ever suggest to you, commands or activities that it really is not good at doing, right? And that's more of an introspective, like you're almost asking the model, are you able to do this, right? And I don't know that the models have that level of introspection on what they're talented at.
Yeah, they think they're all talented at everything. So yeah, completely makes sense.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, I hope Offer that answers the question and everything. Like, again, if not, please feel free to shoot me a message on Slack. We'll set up. And yes, just one small request. If anyone has time, please do fill the feedback form. I always love to improve, so that helps me. I'll put that in chat. But yes, if any more questions, more than happy to take them. So yeah, or if
the form needs the permission to give the response. So you need to open the form for
Oh.
everyone. I guess that's
Thank you.
behind the.
Sorry, thanks.
Well, thanks a lot, by the way,
Thank you.
Asha, for spending the time to do this. This was really good of you to give that amount of time and to be so open and with the questions, especially being a good sport when ChatGPT wasn't being a good sport.
Yeah.
I think you had your mild blue screen of death moment, but it still it was really useful, and I'm appreciative of your time and effort that went into this. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Again, again,
Yeah.
I love to do this. So
Yeah, and also it's a bit late in India right now, so extremely appreciate that you
Yeah,
found the time to join. So
no worries at all, guys. Thank you so much. So yeah,
all right.
Thank you
perfect,
so much.
awesome. And then
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have opened the form. Please do fill it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye bye.
Okay. Goodbye.